Hello everybody. Let's go ahead and type some simple code and see how very simple program would work. What I have in front of you is the Java editor, and we are using JGrasp for our purposes, and I am going to type in a very simple code. What you see over here is the very first statement, which is public class my information, and I spelled this thing wrong. However, it does not matter if I spell it wrong, because this part is the name of my class. I can name it whatever I would like to name. So I can even say my info, and that would still be okay. However, there are certain policies and some regulations on naming of a class. You cannot have a space in between. However, you can put an underscore, and these are all information that you will find in the book explained very well. And I do want you guys to make sure you read the book. So what I wrote over here is public class my info. Public and class, these are reserved words, and with an editor like JGrasp you will see that they have different colors, which means they are reserved words and it means something to the language. Publics is the accessibility, class is that I'm defining a class, and then I have this curly brackets that I open and close. Now I'm going to write a public method, and that is public static void main, and inside main is my method, and a method is always going to be followed by an opening and closing parenthesis, and inside I would write string, and this is a square bracket, and args stands for argument. Again, by saying public, I'm saying that the main method is public. It is also a static method, which means it is instantiated. However, and we will talk more about the static later on. Void means that it is not going to return anything from the main method. And of course, the main method would also have its own body enclosed within the curly brackets, just like your class. And inside, I'm going to write a very simple print line statement, and in Java we're going to say it is system.out.println, and this is just myself and some information about me. All right, so at this point I should be able to save the file. And another important thing in Java is you have to save it with exactly the same name as your class. So I'm going to say file, save as, and it is called myinfo.java. and of course you see over here it is forming a certain folder structure. You can go ahead and change that. I'll just leave it the way it is because I have created a folder called Java inside my class under my fall 13, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. But for you guys, you can set it up any ways you would like to. So I'm going to save this information, and okay, so here is my very simple code. Public class my info, public static void main string argument, and then this is basically a print line that we use in Java, and we do it by calling in this particular class, which is system, and then followed with a dot. Out is my object, print line is my method or my function, and of course the functions are identified by having a parenthesis right following it, and in this case I have an argument, and this is just a literal string. So now I have already saved it, and I explained earlier I have to name it exactly the same way as my class name is. So now I can compile it, And if I compile in this area right here, I should get, if I do not have any error, I should see an operation complete. And if I hit this little run icon over here, that should run it, and this is my information that I just wrote the code for. So what you see over here is outputting into what is called a console. Okay, now in the book it gives you a good explanation and also shows you how you can run it through the command line. And even though for the class we are not going to use the command line, this is what you should get when you run it with a command line, with that command prompt of Java compile, JAVAC, and the name of the Java file, which would then make it into a bytecode, and then once you run it, it is going to change it into a machine programming language, or into a machine language, which is again explained very well in details in your book. So let me take the same program, and I am going to add a few more things in here. So I'm going to copy the same line and paste it again, and just change my information here, which is going to be my literal string. So I can say my name is John Doe, and let me copy and paste it again, and I'm going to say I am in COP 2800, and I'm going to say fall 2013. All right, a couple of things I want to point out here is I'm going to change it to print instead of print line. What print line would do is make the cursor come to the next line. Okay, so if I leave it at print, then after it prints this literal string, my name is John Doe, it will keep the cursor over here, which means my next statement, which is again done by a system.out.println, would come right next to it. So let me save it, and once I run it, I should see this. Now over here you're also seeing some errors. So at this point it is showing you that I had started a little double quote over here and I did not finish out my literal string, so I'm missing something. So right here, if I go in and correct it, then that should take care of that. And also if I miss a semicolon, it's also going to tell me that I have missed a semicolon. So as you can see, at the back end it is writing that file, the Java compile, JAVAC, myinfo.java, and it's going to tell me that my operation is completed. And if I do this, this is my output. As you can see, this is just myself and some information about me. Since it's a print line, it takes the next line, or the cursor to the next line, and that's why you have my name is John Doe. However, since it's a print statement, the cursor is waiting over here, so when the next line, which is system out println I am in COP 2800 is printed, it is printed on the same line. But in this one I have a print line, so it moves it to fall 2013 to the next line. Now I can delete everything over here, and also, or another way of adding or making it go to the next line is by adding a backward slash n here, which would do the same exact thing. So if I do this now and if I run it, then I should get the same information, but all separated in 4 different lines because I used it with a /n. All right. Also, if you look at the book has some information about let me look at the book for just a minute. Make sure you go over the back of the chapter questions and see if you can write some of the programs that are given in the exercises. Of course, if you can write every single program, that would be great practice. Get you really proficient with the language, with the syntax. But if not, just try to pick out a few. Also, I will give you an assignment where I'll ask you to write a very simple code and make sure you compile it and then upload it to the proper folder. And that is all for this week's video. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next week.